Hello, everybody. I would like to welcome you all to the May 9th, 2022 Carteret County Board of Education meeting. I appreciate everybody in this room being here, and since we have not one single public comment, this may be a very happy time tonight. So I'm very excited to have y'all here. With that in mind, I am going to ask Mr. Travis Day to do our invocation.
Stand. Dear God, thank you for this day we've been given. We're so grateful for this little slice of heaven we have here in Carteret County. Thank you for our teachers and our administrators who do such a wonderful job educating our children, often under very challenging circumstances. As challenges arise, please help us navigate all that our school system and parents encounter as we continue to look to you for wisdom and for strength. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Day. Now I'd like to ask Ms. Dawn Simpson with Smyrna to introduce her students, and then they are going to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good evening. I'm representing Smyrna Elementary School, standing in for Miss Golden this evening, and I'm here to introduce Miss Cora Kelly from 2nd grade and Mr. Matthew Brewer from 3rd grade. Allegiance to the
Nice job, guys.
You've done a fantastic job. We're proud of you. Yo, we're going to get pictures taken because that's what we do. Okay. A lot of pictures. What? Look, Miss Kelly, you got a cool little and you can wear it. That's a big. And you have Matthew, you get one as well. There you go. Appreciate y'all. Get the picture.
Picture.
Yeah, let's move over here so we can get a picture. Everybody can get it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yes. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Thank you.
Now we're getting ready to recognize a bunch of people, and I'm going to stand right here and bring all the board members down so we don't have to keep getting up and down. We're going to make it efficient, fun, and easy. And once they all come down here, I'm going to pass this off to Dr. Jackson so he can start calling the names, and then we're going to do a lot of pictures. We'll be right here doing that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, board members. Good evening, all who've gathered. We're so very excited. As we come to the end of a school year, we have much to celebrate in our school system. This evening, we are celebrating students who have achieved remarkably levels of excellence, in some cases, never before achieved before. In fact, this first group is a historic group. And so I'd like to start by recognizing Miss Heather Boston to recognize our governor's school selectees. Ms. Boston.
All right, thank you. All right, well, I am very excited to be here. Each year I stand before you and I present you with our fine students who have been accepted to governor's school. And last year I stood before you and said this was the most students we'd gotten. And this year I stand before you to say we actually broke that record. Yes, so I am thrilled to be here to present to you our nominees for governor's school, the students that have been accepted. Each year, approximately 30% of students are accepted to governor's school. This year, we had 10 of our 14 students accepted. And so looking at that, that's an acceptance rate of 71% for Carteret County schools. And so we are so proud of these students and all that they have achieved over their years. As you know, this is towards the end of their academic career, so they have achieved ever since they entered school, and it takes a lot to be this competitive. So I would like to begin with, from East Carteret, Kyle Coleman, and he is in instrumental music, French horn. You want to go ahead? And then I have Hubert Rafe Fadri, and he is choral music. I have Kate Guthrie, who was instrumental music. Zoe Morris, she was social sciences. Not with us this evening is Lauren Willis, and she was instrumental music. And then from MAST, I have Amani Harpine. From West Carteret High School, I have Allegra Banks for instrumental music. Maggie Golightly, instrumental music. Joy Miller, English. And Maggie Piggott, English. Please join me in congratulating these outstanding students on their accomplishment.
Let's slide this way. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And if board members, you'll kind of plant yourself between students. There we go.
And this was such a great group. Give them another round of applause.
Congratulations, everyone. And Ms. Boston said, we're just absolutely thrilled to break the record yet again on how many students from our school system have been accepted to Governor School, especially when we look all across curricular areas, musical, our English, writing, et cetera. Just very, very proud of our students. At this time, I'd like to recognize our Chief Academic Officer, Ms. Jody McClenny, so that we may take the time to recognize our middle and high school students who've received All-State Honors Band and All-State Jazz Band.
Outstanding. Well, it is my pleasure to present to you our outstanding musicians who have earned the honor of All-State Honors Band and All-State Jazz Band. So we are first going to recognize from middle school, Mr. James Burdick. He is the 17th chair clarinet from Moorhead Middle School. And our All-State Band for 9th and 10th graders, we have Emily Garman. She is 18th chair clarinet from Carteret. We have Mr. Vin Lee, first chair flute from West Carteret High School. In our All-State Concert Band from our junior and senior class, we have Zachary Chambers, 17th chair clarinet from Croatan High School. We have Patrick Reindl, first chair sax from Croatan High School. I've practiced. Lexi Garner, 6th chair French horn from West Carteret High School. We have Kylie Morris, first chair mallets from West Carteret High School. Now we're going to recognize our All-State Jazz Band. And so, Mr. Patrick, if you'll come right back around. Patrick Reindl, second chair alto sax, Croatan High School. And finishing up for All-State Jazz Band, Mr. Joe Bricker, first chair drums, Croatan High School. And I also wanted to recognize our outstanding band directors who are in the back that do a wonderful job with our band program. Thank you. All right, we're going to shift. Perfect.
She went through lights down.
You could. That on you?
Again, board members, we're so excited and so pleased with the success our students have had academically, the success they've had artistically. Now we get to shift to the area of career and technical education. I'd like to recognize Ms. Allison Dees, our director of CTE, for a lot of recognition. Students have been so very successful.
Thank you. I am here to the winners. For first, we're going to start with Mass Skills USA. In culinary arts, we have Sarah Riggs and Rosanna Secchi. Rosanna's not with us tonight.
I'm sorry, we didn't hear you. You please read it.
Sarah Riggs for culinary arts. Marine Service Technology, Walker Gordon. Diesel Technology Service, Ridge Hayden. He's not here with us. Welding, Zoe Kelly. West Carter, Skills USA. In Career Pathway Showcase, we have Annabella Bote. Riley Markham. Kendall Preston. And Kayla Cole. And that is all of the Skills USA. Now we're going to switch gears. You want to do this picture?
Skills USA.
Yes, please.
And then I'll get out of the way for the proud parents.
And their skill advisors, Miss Pamela Zanaska, Harvey Case, and Patty Hudson, plus Miss Benna Weirs from the community college are here with us tonight as well. So we're going to switch gears to FBLA, and we will start with Broad Creek Middle School. Leadership, Adeline McGee. Running an effective meeting, Ashley Campbell. Critical thinking, Michaela Panzarella and Tristan Seavey. And West Carteret's FBLA is all at Tennis Elite 8 in Carborough. Their FBLA advisor is Mark Thompson, and I guess his whole tennis team is also going to nationals. So I can read out their names, but they are not with us tonight. Networking infrastructure, Rob Cummings. Political science and life smarts, Makash Thakur. Mosh. Personal Finance and Life Smarts, Worth Stack. Business Law, Cason Collins. Business Calculations, Davis Starling. Business Communications, Adam Cummings. Securities and Investments, Davis Adams. And Insurance and Risk Management, Slate Tabor.
On three.
And the FBL advisor for Broad Creek Middle is Laura Carrera, and she is with us tonight as well.
Good job.
And our final group is the West Carteret DECA. They just recently competed at the national conference in community giving project, and that is Hattie Jones, Cooper Law, he's not with us tonight, and Denise Wynn. And they had another community giving project also, that was James Kane, he's not with us, and Alejandra McGee. And their advisors are Lisa Hensley and Katie Kaufman, and they're with us tonight as well.
As you can tell, board members, we've been quite blessed. Our students have been extremely successful. We love having the opportunity to recognize our students. This evening, we have one more recognition. We'd like to recognize a staff member. All of our staff members are special. This staff member is no different. So I'd like to, this time, recognize Principal Kate Marino for a special recognition. Nazim.
So tonight we're going to be recognizing Andrew Gurley. He was a regional finalist for the double goal award. Mr. Gurley, come on up here. So just a few words. We're very thankful for our coaches who continue to keep our students physically healthy and motivated and physically fit. And coaches, you know, have a tremendous impact on our youth. Let's talk a little bit about the Double Goal Award. It's 2 goals, obviously. The first is winning, but not the most important. The most important goal is making sure that students learn to be good human beings through sports and being engaged in sports. And I can't tell you, I've been working with Mr. Gurley for many years, and he is the perfect example of what coaches do on the field and how practices should be run. And it's not a humiliation thing. It's not about wins and losses, even though I do like winning, Coach. But he is he takes teachable moments, and he works with students to make sure that they understand the game, and that it's no surprise that he is one of their favorites. But he's an awesome coach, and he brought his whole family here. He's growing his basketball team. This is Lydia, and Oakley, and Dallas, and I know, I'm there because of Dallas and Denver. And so they joke about the next one being named Orlando and after teams. So this is the Gurley family. By the way, Mr. Gurley is our head girls basketball coach and our head football coach. Yes, he does.
All right, board members, just sit down. Thank y'all for coming.
And Bubba's gonna cry. Just bring good sports. Bring you on.
No problem, no problem. All right, now that we've got all the fun stuff done, we can end the meeting if y'all want, or we can move on to the Carteret County Board of Education resolution recognizing the week of May 2nd, 2022, Teacher Appreciation Week. Whereas teachers mold future citizens through guidance and education, and whereas teachers encounter students of widely differing backgrounds, and whereas our country's future depends upon providing quality education to all students, and whereas teachers spend countless hours preparing lessons, evaluating progress, counseling and coaching students, and performing community service, and whereas our community recognizes and it supports its teachers in educating the children of this community, now therefore be it resolved that the Carteret County Board of Education proclaims May 2nd through 6th, 2022 to be Teacher Appreciation Week, and be it further resolved that the Carteret County Board of Education strongly encourages all members of our community to join with it in personally expressing appreciation to our teachers for their dedication and devotion to their work. Adopted this the 9th day of May 2022. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
I move to approve the resolution as presented.
Reverend Goodwin has made a motion to approve the resolution. Do I have a second?
You did.
Ms. Chadwick has made the second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Passes unanimously. Thank you so much to our teachers, and what a great week this is going to be.
Was.
Was last week.
Excuse me. It is going to be. It was and is going to be. So, in my opinion, every week is Teacher Appreciation Week. So, moving forward, I'm looking for a motion to consider approval of the meeting agenda.
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Reverend Goodwin has made a motion to approve the meeting agenda as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. McLean has made a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Wonderful. The meeting agenda is approved. We do not have any public comment tonight.
Praise Jesus.
So we will now move to the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Reverend Goodwin has made a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. McLean has made a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Wonderful. Very good. Now we have Mr. Blair Probst.
Try.
I'll get a whole lot of claps. Got some boos, but that's okay.
Good job.
Before you are second read, I do not have any first read for this month. Before you're a second read, these policies come from the School Board Association's Fall 2021 update packet. These are revisions, mirror the modifications in state board policy, changes in federal law and state law, and precedent established in case law. I have no comments about these policies. These policies have not been changed since first read. I'll be happy to entertain any questions.
Any questions on the policies, board members? Wonderful. Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the policies for second read as presented.
Mr. McLean has made a motion. Do I have a second? Reverend Goodwin has made a second.
You didn't mean a second. It's good. It's all good. I was just giving him a thumbs up for making the motion.
Okay. Who wants to make a second?
Second.
Reverend Goodwin has made a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Very good.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you, Blair.
We're a little bit
We
punched.
need the meeting management.
Yes. Please bring them back. Now it is Miss Kathy Carswell. We are happy to see her here.
Good evening.
Evening.
I'd like to present budget revision number 5. The first part of this budget revision is the state budget. We are amending it for $77,454 to appropriate funds for the summer reading camp. We're appropriating $2,000 that was additional funds received for transportation, and $9,036 for additional allotment for the developmental day. So it's a total state budget revision of $88,490. The federal budget revision is our Essers 2, and this is to appropriate additional revenue and to transfer the budget to where we're actually spending it. That's our total $1,004,481. The Fund 4, which is our capital funds, we are appropriating the Hurricane Florence carryover funds. The state has given us funds for till 2025, and so we are appropriating $9,597.79.67.
9 million.
Yes, I'm sorry, 9 million. $9,597,79.67. Okay, the special revenue funds, we're appropriating the tech fees in the amount of $108,708.86. And then we're appropriating emergency connectivity funds in the amount of $199,062.06. For a total, the special revenue fund is $307,770.92. This is a total budget revision of $10,997,821.59. Any questions regarding budget revision number 5?
Any questions, any thoughts? Very good. That was excellent.
Thank you.
I'm looking for a motion to approve this budget revision.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve budget revision number 5 as presented.
Mr. McLean has made a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Statler has made a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Very good. Thank you, Ms. Cardwell. Now we're up for Essers.
Good evening, Board.
Evening.
So we're going to talk an Essers budget amendment that we're going to propose tonight. Just a quick reminder, we've been through 3 Essers pots of money at this point. We had Essers 1, which was a little over 1.6 million. We've had Essers 2, which was 6.1 million, a little more. We've had Essers 3, which is a little over almost 14 million. If you remember last May, we came to you and we had our initial proposal for you on Essers 2 and 3, and we approved through that. It would be wonderful if you had a crystal ball when you did that first budget, but as you noticed, and we look at needs, we have to amend those. And so we came to you in September and had an amendment, and we came to you again in November and had an amendment. So we're going to do the same thing tonight as we look at these funds and how we can best use those funds. A quick reminder on what we can and cannot use Essers 2 and 3 funds for. Really, it's a 3-pronged test. How do we reduce the impact of COVID? How do we prevent the spread of COVID-19? And then how do we respond to the effects of COVID-19? The allowable expenditures are addressing learning loss, facility repairs and improvements to minimize the virus, improve air quality, coordination of preparedness and response to the coronavirus, providing leaders and principals with resources, addressing unique needs of special populations, improving our preparedness and response, training to minimize the virus, supplies to sanitize and clean, long-term closure activities, educational technology, mental health services, and summer planning. So on this next slide, you're going to look at the funds that we're looking to change the use for. So We have a little over 498,000 that was in ESSER 2 that dealt with some savings from summer programming of last summer that was saved, or positions that you approved for us to hire that took us a while to hire. So we have that amount from ESSER 2. For ESSER 3, we have $3,125,680 unbudgeted. That comes from the virtual school where we were going to hire teachers to have our separate academy that we ended up not needing. So we have that money. And then from ESSER 3, back in November, we asked for an ESSER manager position, which we desperately needed. However, we did not find the applicants in that pool to do that. So our finance department has been rock stars working through that, and the C&I team is learning quickly from them, and we've been able to pull together. So we're asking to convert those monies over to something else that we need. So at this point, we've had another needs assessment, just as we did last year, where we talked with principals, we had feedback from teachers, and when we had our regional PAC meetings, we heard a lot from parents about the needs that we had in our district as well. So we took that into consideration. So the first item that we are asking to amend is we would like to hire 6 school-based counselors. The national average for school counselors is 1 to 250. If we bring in 6 more that we contract in, that would have us to that average, which would provide immediate support in the schools on a day-to-day basis to support the needs of those students and have us in that national average, and our response time and better to support them through wraparound services would be much easier for us to do with a smaller caseload of that. The second area we're asking to amend is we would like to add on 2 regional-based behavior support specialists. On the first budget, we brought in a behavior support specialist and then hired an additional 5 other support positions for behavior. However, if we bring in 2 more, that would allow us to have a regional-based team where we could be able to respond immediately if there is a crisis, but more importantly, not only respond to that crisis, but be able to have follow-up care and services for those students as we move forward. The next thing we're asking for are 6 instructional coaches. And so I'm excited about the instructional coach piece. An instructional coach is an accomplished teacher that comes in and works with teachers as they work on the art of teaching, which is a teacher's personal style that they bring in, but also tying in that science of teaching. And there is a science for how we teach. And so these instructional coaches would be able to come into our schools, support what our goals are, be able to plan with teachers, whether that's planning, instruction design, assessment, feedback, and provide that ongoing support. What we know is that teaching looks a little different now as what teachers are facing, and this is the ultimate support to be able to provide them really real-time support so that they're able to do their job effectively. The next position that we are asking is a multilingual teacher position. Now, in the past, we've referred to that as EL teachers. The state now calls that multilingual. We have had an influx of 52 students who have been identified in that population just this school year. And we currently have 4.5 teachers that are shared between schools. Moorhead Primary has its own teacher that they used within their own funds, but we have 4.5 in that to be able to support them. And so we are asking to bring in another teacher so we can better support that student group as we move forward. Another position we're asking for is a reading specialist / ITF / media coordinator position at Atlantic School. One of our goals as a C&I district team is a standard of service, and by bringing that position in, we are moving to ensure that students that are in every school have access to those same supports. The next one is science of reading support. As you are aware, the state has passed law that every pre-K through 5th grade teacher will receive intensive training in the science of reading. That is a 2-year training that is about 96 hours over those 2 years. The state will be paying for approximately 285 of our teachers to be trained, but the state is not covering all teachers. For example, the state will pay for 1 reading specialist at a site, but we may have 3 at a site. And so as a district, we're asking that we put the investment in to train all teachers so that we have a common calibrated understanding of what we're doing, the language, the use of it. In addition, we've got to think about sustainability with this. So the state is paying now for us to be trained, but what if we hire a teacher mid-year or next summer? And so we are asking that some of that money be used so that we can have a trainer in our district to support our new teachers who come on board, that we can make sure they are up to date and have that law requirement fulfilled with that as well. So we're asking $100,000 for that. That's a one-time cost. The other part of that I think is most important, as I said, 96 hours is a lot of work to put on the backs of already overworked teachers. And so we are planning our schedule and would like to be able to have substitutes that we can bring in to allow them some time during the day to support that large amount of most needed work that they'll be putting in. But we do believe in the science of reading and that the impact it can have on achievement for our students. And the last, well, it may not be the last, but the next one is the curriculum resource. When we've looked at data of how our students do, we know our middle schoolers were really hit hard as the data came in for us. And so as we looked at our needs and kind of prioritized a 3 to 5 year plan out, we would like to begin with ensuring that our teachers have in their hands the most current research-based resource to support middle school math that will, again, have equitable access to that curriculum. I believe strongly that our teachers should be focused on the art and the science of teaching, and let's make sure we put the right materials in their hands so that they can focus on that. And so we're asking for $123,425 to be able to help with the purchase of a middle school math curriculum that will support all levels of learners with that. I do want to point out, too, that the last 2 items on the science of reading support, that's a one-time cost. The positions, that's just 2 years, and we know at the end of 2 years that money's not going to be there, but we believe strongly in those positions and an ability for us to, I don't want to say right the ship because we're in really good shape, but us to really be able to address the needs that we have. And then the last one is HVAC improvement. We want to put $1,322,948 into our HVAC system to improve air quality, which is an allowable expenditure as well with that, and that is a one-time cost. So if you add those 3 pots of money that we looked at the beginning, our total proposed amendments are $3,773,974. Any questions?
Jody, so are these counselors and the teachers, I guess they're hired under a 2-year contract. They're under the assumption they know that it's temporary only.
Right. So one of the things with the counselors that we do have the ability to do is to contract that out through an outside agency. Now, the instructional coaches and the multilingual teacher, we will hire them under the acknowledgement that this is a 2-year deal.
And is that annual, or is that's the total?
The total for those 2 years. Huh?
Fully benefited.
Sorry, go ahead.
I just had a very quick question about the HVAC. Is that filters, adding filters, or is it, I mean, that's not efficiency going from? And that was, okay.
Which needs to be done.
Absolutely.
Is that going to get all of our schools that need to go to 4 pipes?
Some of the bond.
We've got bond money for it, but this will help offset some of that, I would imagine.
Exactly. You're exactly right. So hopefully, as you saw in that budget, much of what we've heard in our PAC meetings and from board meetings, we've tried to address with that budget, specifically to the HVAC piece. That's actually, we're going to be able to pull some of the projects from the school construction bond. Good. So we know that we've had cost overruns in terms of what we're seeing estimates for. And so being able to pull that from the Essers Fund will help us with those school construction bonds. So those are not new projects. Those are projects that have been on the books. It's just an opportunity to fund those projects using these Essers one-time dollars which then will allow us to get further down the road with our school construction bond project.
With our overages that we've seen on a lot of the bond projects, it would be awesome to be able to use even more of this Essers money to help reduce some of those bond costs. Is there any wiggle room to be able to use even more of our Essers money as one-time costs to reduce those bonds even further?
Certainly, the board could use this funding that way. Absolutely, all of that funding could be directed that way if that's the will of the board. In looking at it, and if you ask Richie, he'd say yes. If you ask Jody, she'd say no. If you ask Heather, absolutely not. And so what we've tried to do is really look at the needs that we have across the school system. And so Essers, as Jody shared at the beginning, is that budget is designed to mitigate the needs caused by the pandemic. One of the greatest areas of needs we hear from administrators is the need for behavior support and counselors. Unfortunately, this year we've seen a lot of poor behavior choices, much more so than last year when we weren't in school full time. But that has been the number one request from our administrators and our teachers, and it came up in several of our PAC meetings as well, as the board knows. In terms of the instructional coaches and our work with science of reading and math, that's looking directly at our instructional data. We know that our students missed out on face-to-face time with their teachers, and so that gives us the opportunity to mitigate. We don't like to use the term learning loss because they certainly learned something, but to mitigate where they're not in proficiency. As the board knows, we had incredible results with our growth, but our proficiency isn't quite where we want it to be, and so that allows us to address that. Of course, that need at Atlantic Elementary School, that's been well documented for quite a while. And so each of those areas, and let me speak to the last area I haven't spoke to because might as well cover them all. The multilingual teacher position, it has been called, as Jody referred to, as English learners. Prior to that, it was English language learners. Prior to that, it was English as a second language. We've had a tremendous growth in our Hispanic population in the school system, and so we recognize we need to properly resource our schools to meet the needs of those students. And so to answer your question with probably more than you needed to know, all of these funds can be directed in any of these areas. All of these areas meet the requirements for the Essers budget. This just represents our cabinet's attempt to meet as many needs as possible based on the priorities we were hearing from our administrators, our teachers, and then from the parents in the PAC meetings.
And I know that we just, this is kind of new to us as far as some of the revisions and all. Is this something that we necessarily need to approve and vote on tonight? Or I know we have a work group meeting tomorrow. If we have additional questions after we look through and all, is this something that we could discuss at our work group meetings tomorrow?
Certainly. I don't know that any of this, I would say, is time intensive. The one piece that with personnel, of course, we want to get out there as early as possible with any sort of hiring or contracting we want to do, simply because we're in hiring season now. And so if the board would like to wait and talk in areas of oversight, because I do know you just received this, I think this morning, that's absolutely. And it can even be brought back at the June meeting if that's what the board would like to do.
I would like to say that I've heard the same with the counselors and just the amazing need that we've had over the past couple of years. I hate using one-time money for recurring expenses, but it's a 2-year contract, and as long as they know that going into it, and if it will help us fill some of those gaps from COVID, I think it's a great idea. And I really appreciate the creativity, especially the bond, the HVAC, which we obviously have got a lot of cost overruns that Travis pointed out. So I think it's very creative, and I appreciate the work.
Because I know we got some concerns about with all the recent updates to the costs for our bond projects. There are a lot of things that we're going to have to drop there, and so that's just a concern of mine.
Right, but I think we've been having these advisory board meetings, and we keep hearing mental health, and problems where kids have been out of school. So I think what we've got presented is a good idea.
I fully agree with you. I think this is exactly what parents have wanted, but more importantly, or not more importantly, the same are school leadership teams. They're the ones that are doing this every day, and if this is what they feel is most needed, I know what those Essers TAs have done, at least in elementary school, and it's been a huge benefit to have those positions. The science of reading support and curriculum resources, we've spent a lot of funds on these, so being able to best support them and make sure teachers are comfortable implementing them and are ready and prepared, those are amazing curriculum pieces that we've purchased. So surely making sure that we can implement them as best possible. I think this is an amazing use of our funds.
And I want to say, I don't think Atlantic has had a full-time librarian in 13 years. It's been about 13. So I think it's an awesome opportunity to get books back in kids' hands and do what we're supposed to be doing.
And there are additional Essers monies to use for other things. Correct? I mean, this is not the end of the Essers budget.
Reverend Goodwin, this represents the Essers budget. So, we've had 3 iterations of Essers budget. And it was initially approved, the budget, by the board, and there've been revisions as we've gone along and been able to make changes. The lion's share of the funding here is funding that was not needed for the virtual school that we had funded in case they needed it. So there are not additional Essers funding that I'm aware of beyond this budget. This simply is using money that's either not been allocated because we weren't able to hire the staff or contract for the staff, or it's money pulling back from the virtual school.
But we can, with the monies that are budgeted, we can rebudget other monies and still do this.
Yes, sir. So this funding, with the exception of the HVAC funding, allows us to address needs that haven't been previously addressed. The HVAC funding, though, does allow us a cost savings on our bond construction project.
I would move we approve these budget amendments.
Before we move forward with a motion, I'm going to say something about this. I've spent a lot of time in the past couple of months in most of the schools. I've still got a few more to visit, but most of the schools in our county. And I want to tell every principal and assistant principal I met with how much I love you. I walk away from every one of them and I'm fired up, but I also walk away hearing mainly this. This is what they're looking for, especially the mental health aspect. I'm going to 100% support this, and I truly appreciate you putting this together. What I'd like to do, if possible, is collect as much data as we can collect and take it to the state in a year and advocate to keep this going more than 2 years, because that's what we need. We don't need 2 years. We need it forever. So not only do we need our teachers' pay raised and our staff's pay raised, but we need this personnel to help them. So that's what I'm going to ask us to do and put the extra time into it. So we have got a motion on the floor by Reverend Goodwin. Do I have a second?
Second.
I've got a second by Ms. Statler. All in favor, raise your right.
Can we have a conversation?
We sure can, sorry.
I'm assuming, just to Travis's point, we approved this tonight. There's still, I think Travis wanted to talk about it tomorrow. I totally support it as well, and I'm going to vote for it. But to Travis's point, is there anything pressing tonight to approve? We're going to start tomorrow, or?
So I'll explain the process. We will get your approval, and then we will go in and amend the grant application. We will send that to DPI, and then we wait for them to approve it. So they may come back and say, no, change, you didn't prove you needed that. And then we have to go through that process. So this is just one step of approval before we go to DPI and ask for approval on that next level.
Yeah, and who knows how long that takes, so I'm not willing to wait.
Yeah, and I'm not opposed to, I like to digest a little bit longer.
Sure.
I haven't had time to do that.
And I will tell you, part of what we do, and I'm glad you brought up, Mr. Jenkins, the data part. We are big on data and proving that we need this, and if it's not effective, we need to go a different route. So even though we're looking at this right now, we may get 6 months out and say, not giving us our bang for our buck, let's go back and see where we are with some things, or savings, or we can't hire positions. So we will constantly revisit this to be sure that we are being good stewards of this money and using it in the best way we can to help with offset those costs that Mr. Paler fusses at me about.
Well, again, we appreciate, y'all are the professionals, and we couldn't have better ones. And also, I would like to say what Clark just said. He calls us when he leaves all the schools crying with joy. So, yeah, so
You're not supposed to tell them that.
with joy.
Okay, any other comments or thoughts? I have got a motion by Reverend Goodwin and a second by Ms. Statler. All in favor, raise your right hand. Very good. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Any of the.
And I've got any opposed?
Yeah.
Okay, Travis is opposed. Thank you. Next up, does anybody want to make a motion on face covering requirements?
Make the motion.
I've got a motion by Ms. Statler and a second by Mr. McLean. All in favor, raise your right hand. Host, did you raise your hand? Okay. Okay, wonderful. Okay, now we are going to receive an update from the East Carteret feeder,
You're the only one.
and that will be Catherine.
It's going to be me and Dr. Jackson. We had a pretty good meeting. A lot of our parents were out because it was sports and it was the week before spring break. But we got a lot of positive feedback from principals about everybody loved that things were getting back to normal. Beaufort Middle had started on their big grant work, and so they were excited. Everybody seemed to have a lot going on at their schools. But I think the common thing was everybody was just glad things were getting back to normal. So,
Well, I appreciate y'all doing that. Obviously, this has been new to us this year, and it's relatively organic, and I think it's sort of been a success and a big hit with a lot of the parents. So I appreciate everybody being involved in this. Thank you so much.
Dr. Jackson about it?
Thank you. I would echo Ms. Chadwick's comments. We certainly appreciate all those who were there. One of the things that I would like to mention as part of this is that next week we have the West Carteret High School feeder pattern PAC meeting. It was originally scheduled for Tuesday. That has been rescheduled for Thursday because of Election Day on Tuesday, once that change was made. So the West Carteret PAC meeting will be next Thursday night. Following that PAC meeting, I'll ask principals to talk with their PACs for any feedback, any plus deltas about the process, and would ask the board members to do the same. One of the pieces was scheduling, having that PAC meeting right before spring break. Didn't work out as well as it might, and so those ideas about schedules, or whether we continue the way we have or make any changes, we'll see during the summer as we prepare for next school year.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. All right, Mr. Paylor.
Good evening, board. For a capital update, it's that time of year when we don't have many capital projects going on because we've spent all of our money and we're broke. So no new updates there. The playground equipment still ordered, and like everything these days, it's taking a little bit longer to get that. And the painting is touch-up painting, so capital projects are pretty much wrapped up. As far as the bond projects go, Croatan High School is out for bid right now. We had a pre-bid meeting last Wednesday morning at Croatan High School, and the bids will be open this coming Wednesday, not this coming Wednesday, next Wednesday, the 18th, at 3 o'clock. We will open the bids for Croatan High School, and we'll go from there. Any questions?
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right, Dr. Jackson, you're up again.
Thank you. And good evening again, board members and everyone else. May is National Physical Fitness and Sports Month and Asian Pacific American Heritage Month, and we look forward to celebrating that throughout the month. We do have a lot to celebrate and recognize this month. This past week was National Teacher Appreciation Week. We are incredibly blessed by the outstanding and dedicated educational leaders who serve as teachers in our school system. I appreciate the board's resolution recognizing them. May 6th, we celebrated School Lunch Hero Day, and on May 11th, we'll celebrate National School Nurse Day. We appreciate all the sponsors from the Carteret County Public School System 2022 Employee of the Year Luncheon and Awards Program, which was held last Friday on May 6th. I'd like to give a special heartfelt shout out and a huge thank you to the sponsors for making this event happen. I'd like to say thank you to Chick-fil-A in Morehead City, Coastal Bank and Trust, Height and Associates, Kirkman and Whitford Law Firm, Remax Ocean Properties, Plain Jane's Cleaning, Farm Bureau Carteret, and Curtis Chevrolet. Our employees of the year for 2022-2023 are the Carteret County Public Schools Classified Employee of the Year is Miss Isabel Hernandez, receptionist and bus driver at Moorhead Middle School. Our Certified Employee of the Year is Miss Kim Campbell, a school nurse serving at Broad Creek Middle School. Our Assistant Principal of the Year is Mr. Chris Davis of Croatan High School. Our Principal of the Year is Mr. Jay Westbrook of East Carteret High School. Our Teacher of the Year, driving a brand new car for the year, Miss Chelsea Guthrie, third grade teacher at Harkers Island Elementary School. And again, we certainly thank all of our sponsors for being so generous in recognizing our employees. Speaking of bond projects, I'm extremely pleased and excited to announce that our school system has received additional funding through the 2021-2022 Needs-Based Public School Capital Fund. Thanks to the hard work of Assistant Superintendent Richie Paler and his team, our school system has been approved for an additional amount of $1,928,994 to help fund our school construction bond projects. Previously, the school system applied for and received $10 million from the Needs-Based Public School Capital Fund. This funding will greatly assist with the escalated cost of construction. As we move forward with these important projects in service to our students, teachers, and community, we do so with great appreciation for all who have made this possible. I was pleased this past week to join Carteret Community College President Dr. Tracy Mancini and our CTE Director, Ms. Allison Dees, during the last County Commissioners meeting as Carteret County was again named a work-ready community. The actual award is just outside in the lobby if you'd like to take a look at that as you leave. This designation is a point of pride for our county as it's based on the number of credentials earned by high school and community college students in our county and on the partnerships that we've developed with local businesses and industry. We have been, we are, and we will remain Carteret strong. Mr. Chairman, this concludes my comments.
Very good. Thank you, Dr. Jackson. I'm looking to see if any board members have any comments or thoughts. Right now, anybody? Fantastic. I guess it all comes back down to me. I want to recognize our community. I spent some time on Friday with Dean Wagaman from Curtis Chevrolet and had some face-to-face time to talk with him. And when he's talking to me and telling me how proud he is of our school system and how excited he is that his kids are in our schools, I'm proud to be affiliated with our schools. But I also have to let him know it's y'all who make that happen. It's not me, it's y'all. It's out here in the audience and the people, the staff that you have. But your people do that to our community. You get them excited, you get them fired up, and I truly appreciate that. So thank you so very much from the bottom of my heart. With that said, I was looking for a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I move we adjourn this meeting.
Reverend Goodwin has made a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Mr. Day has made a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Fantastic. Thank y'all so much.
Sorry, Mr.